29 minutes before midnight, it's Colin Faver on Kiss 100 FM. That's the sound of Strong Island. It came my way via Great Asset. And before that, Bourbonese Quark from a Knee-Jerk Reaction EP. That's forthcoming on Praxis 2 Records. Okay, in a couple of minutes I'll be talking to Caspar Pound. Stand by for that.
At the Brixton Academy on Friday the 9th of October, 9 p.m. to 6 a.m, giving you the very best in live performed dance music and the UK's most progressive DJs working around state-of-the-art visuals and sound. There'll be an ambient lounge, smart bar, brain machines, an underground dance room and much more. So get empowered by the Boss Drum and come on the shamanic journey at Progeny.
Exodus on Friday the 9th of October at Kings Lynn Speedway Stadium. The first truly international dance party from 8 p.m. till 7 a.m. DJs Frankie Bones from New York, Mickey Finn, Top Bars, Jumping Jack Frost, Ratty, LTJ Bookham, LSD, SS and Simon Baseline Smith. International PAs from Utah Saints, Private Car from Belgium, from Germany Interactive, Urban Hype and Zero B. There will be 12,000 people at this event. Friday the 9th of October, Exodus!
Respect to the hundreds and hundreds of ravers who took Ibiza by storm with Kiss in Ibiza. We covered you in foam at the Star, we danced into fountains at Paradise, we rammed it at Summum and showed the Spaniards how to do it in space, not once but twice. Respect to your DJs, Colin Faver, Colin Dale, Rob Blake and of course Steve Jackson. Where were you in 92? Kiss were in Ibiza. Respect to you, the ravers, for making it happen. Where will you be in 93? One more time for the foghorn.
Raw Promotions. The Edge, the 16th of October. Get raw.
And now the final entrant in the International Festival of Mime takes the stage. Francois Philippe starts his mime. He opens a door, I think, and now appears to be pushing something very heavy across the stage. Oh no, he's having a baby. Or is he filling out a Pools coupon? Anyway, he's put it down, whatever it was, and he's shaking his head. Francois obviously not very happy. But wait, he has an idea, and is opening a small elephant. No, it's a fridge. I think. He's taking something out and starting to drink. Looking at the way he's enjoying it, it can only be a can of Heineken. And suddenly his mime is taking shape. Brilliantly, he mimes a resplendent lady next to him. She's Princess Alice from Prestatyn, height 5'9", with clear blue eyes and long, mousy hair. She waves her magical braided coat made in Baden, Germany, and whisks him off to a castle of the Third Gothic Revival period, circa 1309, where he is met by 62 soldiers on horseback, each dressed in the official livery of gold and black, with little blue rosettes on each lapel. And now he's finishing his mime with a little speech to the soldiers. He's miming the words, Heineken refreshes the parts other beers cannot reach. Truly remarkable, Monsieur Philippe.
Into the future of dance. Colin Faver. 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 Colin Faver.
This is Colin Faver on Kiss FM. My very special guest tonight is Caspar Pound from Rising High Records. Good evening, Caspar.
Evening, Colin.
Welcome to Kiss FM.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the early days of Rising High. In fact, even before Rising High, what were you involved with?
Very first record I did was Total Confusion with Homeboy Hippie and a Funky Dread on Tam Tam.
When you say you did it, I mean, what did you actually do?
I did half of it. I did it with Mark Williams, who's now very successful with Project One.
Right.
We used to work together a lot at the beginning. We were sort of working partners, and we both kind of found we both did everything that we were both capable of doing the whole tune on our own, so it didn't last very long.
How did you first get involved with making music? I mean, did you buy stuff at home and sit in your bedroom and fiddle away?
I always bought loads of records. I never did anything else. I did a radio show in Peterborough. Peterborough's first hip-hop show it was. That was about 87. 88 I was into acid, came to London, did pretty much nothing for 2 years. Then started lying quite a lot, phoned up little record label. The first man I phoned was Ian Levine, the high-energy chap, and he gave me some time in his studio. And we did Total Confusion, me and Mark did it there.
Right.
And he absolutely hated it.
I used to work with him at Heaven, actually.
Yeah, so you can imagine what he thought of that.
Yeah. So that was the actual first record that came out?
That was the first time me and Mark ever went in the studio. I think that's probably why we could never recreate anything like that, because it came out like that because we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We just chucked one thing after another on it, and I couldn't do that now as much as I tried.
Were you surprised how it was quite successful, in fact, that record?
I was very surprised.
So, how did you... I mean, what happened? Was that a long time before Rising High began?
Yeah, that was about a year before. We used to say produced by Rising High Collective on the first 1 or 2 records. We did Homeboy Hippin' and Funky Dread, and we did another track called 4 for Money. It's called A Moment in Time, which is a kind of drum and bass track. And we just put them down as Rising High Productions. Then me and Mark fell out in quite a bad way. So I left HFD to him at Tam Tam. And I started Rising High as an outlet for my own things. I thought, just till I find another record deal, I'll put a white label out, and then everything went horribly wrong. And it's...
In what way?
It's never my ambition to be a record label. I consider myself I love it now I've got it, and now I've got it, I'm not going to let it go, but it's never one of my ambitions, really, and
to be a record company mogul?
No, I'd rather be stuck in a studio, but at last I think I've got people who can happily do the business, and I can sit back and just hand them the dats every week and go away again, which is great.
Right. Well, the first Rising High release was actually you, the Hypnotist, John. Rainbows in the Sky. Tell me about this.
That's me and a chap called Pete Smith was the engineer who did Total Confusion. When I first met him, I couldn't afford engineering bills, so I said, let's do a track together. So we did Rainbows in the Sky. That was weird. That was weird how that took off, because it was nothing like in England. It was just beginning to go quite breakbeaty, and I was still very obsessed with the Euro thing. So as soon as we had that out, we had suddenly a lot of attention in Germany, and I tended to spend the first year most of my time in Frankfurt and Berlin and completely ignoring the breakbeat scene.
Right.
But the Germany was where that track really took off, where they really sort of went for it. It sold a few over here, and it took about 6 months later before it really sort of caught on in England. And
well, let's take a listen to Rainbows in the Sky.
Right.
Let it go. Let it go. Because that's the only way I know that you'll find rainbows, rainbows, rainbows in the sky. That's the only way I know that you'll find rainbows, rainbows, rainbows
the Hypnotist, Rainbows in the Sky, the very first release on Rising High Records. My very special guest tonight, Caspar Pound from Rising High. Did you have an overall master plan at the beginning, or was it just a kind of hit and miss affair?
No, I did, because I bought a lot of records for 2 years, and I realised that certain labels I'd watched, like Warp and R&S, I was beginning to see these labels were beginning to be consistent. And I didn't think it took much to work out that I had to have a sort of strong label identity and keep shutting them out. I never wanted to just sell white labels. I wanted to have a respected label, and I watched Renard very closely, I must admit.
R&S.
He was very, very big inspiration. I wanted to be in a situation where Renard is watching me and seeing what I'm doing. Because I've watched him for a long time. But
well, he probably does.
He does. He told me. No, I'm quite pleased.
Now, the next track we're going to play is Vision, which is actually a Detroit track.
Yeah, we that was Underground Resistance. That was about a year and a half. We didn't really know much about them at the time. I actually heard that from Germany. Someone licensed it in Germany, and that's where I licensed it from them.
That's actually the only American track you've ever put out, isn't it?
No, we've put out Lenny D's Night
right.
Phantom. That's quite recent.
Yeah.
But I'd love to have had more Underground Resistance stuff, but they at the time they didn't want any. They decided they were making much more money exporting all the records, and they wouldn't give us anything else.
Okay, let's hear Vision and the Gyroscopic EP. plus Vision Gyroscopic EP. How many copies do you generally press up of each release nowadays?
They vary so much. I mean, some of our if you look at our catalogue, there's tracks on there that have sold 1,000, which is not great. There's House Is Mine is our biggest seller, that's sold 50,000 to date, and that's not including the country it was licensed in. It's just kept going. But everyone is so different. I mean, I think it's the big sellers like House Is Mine and stuff that give me the power to put out stuff I know we're not going to make any money on it. So
right.
I kind of have a philosophy where I'll have one big one and then 3 little ones, and everyone thinks I'm mad for putting them out, but we'd sort of balance it all out that way.
So when did people start sending you tapes? From the very beginning?
Yeah, and I've never picked anything up of a tape yet.
You haven't?
No.
Do you listen to them all?
I listen to them all, but I get quite angry listening to them because they're just. I think they're just distressing in my head. Bad influences. They're not good. If everyone thinks techno's so easy to make, I don't know. Come on, all this shit.
What you actually listening for?
You just get that tingle, don't you? You just get. I don't listen for anything. I like break beats. I like Euro. I like trancey records. I like bang out hardcore sort of nosebleed stuff. I like very mellow ambient stuff. But I don't know. Like Pipey says when they say, "What do you want?" He's our A&R man for Sapho. He just says, "You know when you've made a Sapho record," and I think I know when I hear a Rising High record. But there's certainly no qualification or genre it'll fit into.
Right. Do you think the scene in England has changed very much since you first started the label?
Yeah, incredibly. It's got very single-minded and very... when I first started the label, people used to spend a lot of money on imports, and now I think it's very few people... A lot of DJs have got this attitude now where they... You know, on our reaction sheets we have a thing that says list your top 10 imports.
Right.
And now they begin to say don't buy imports, always buy British, don't buy imports, always buy British. And they're getting very close-minded. I think that's a bit sad.
Yeah. So how do you feel about a lot of the hardcore records that are coming out at the moment?
Well, I think we're paying the price for freedom. We've got freedom of music. Anyone can make a record. It's like punk.
Mm-hmm.
And for that price, you're going to get 75% of rubbish because it's free for anyone to do. But you have to... I see Rising High's job as having to listen to all this rubbish and sort out the good ones for the people who haven't got the time to find them.
So
they are there.
Do you think the European scene is better than the British scene at the moment?
When I'm in Europe, I think the Europe's much better. When I'm in London, Heavy Junglers Club, I think London's much better. I'm very... what's the word when you got 2 minds?
In 2 minds?
Yeah.
Schizophrenic.
Schizophrenic. I'm very schizophrenic. Whatever I'm into at that time, but...
Right. Tranquilizer, next track we're going to play, which is Rising High release number 6.
Yeah, these are some... I used to DJ with these guys who eventually became Shades of Rhythm when I was living in Peterborough. We used to run a club together, and that's how they ended up doing that for me.
We're here.
Colin Faver on Kiss FM. My very special guest tonight, Caspar Pound from Rising High Records. Do you actually get out to many clubs? Do you find time, or are you in the studio?
Well, I get a knowledge every week, don't I? Yeah, to be honest, I'm not going to give you a big plug here, but the two clubs in London I like at the moment are Knowledge and Garage at Heaven on Fridays. Recently I've started going to Paradise because I've just got quite into jungle at the moment, which is very good. And I think Paradise does that well, but I think those are the only three places I go to in London. The best times I had last year were mostly in somewhere sort of dark and scary in Frankfurt.
What's the situation with live performance? Do you think live performance is very important these days, or?
No, I really don't care. I really don't. I like it. I mean, our Irresistible Force, he always insists to play live. Sometimes it's just not practical. A lot of clubs just can't deal with it, and I don't know. I'm in two minds about that. I think if people don't know it's not live, it really doesn't hurt them.
A lot of the time, it just seems to be people miming along to DAT tapes anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's created a lot of easy way outs for people. I don't know. I mean, can you think of anyone who is really better by being live? I mean, who could you think of who plays live a lot?
Well, Jimi Hendrix used to be quite good.
Not bad. I don't know. I really think if people don't know, it doesn't hurt them. But,
right. So you don't think live performance is that important, really?
I like it if they do it, but I'm not too snobbish about it.
When you actually work on a new Hypnotist track, say, how does it take shape? Have you got a formula? I mean, or is everyone different? Do you come up with loops first of all? And
first, we watch the nastiest horror films we can find for the dodgy samples. They usually set the vibe, but I don't think I'm going to do any more Hypnotist records. I think we've sort of taken that as far as it will go, and I think I'm going to start a new sort of hard techno project. I think that'll probably be Dominatrix,
right?
Which we're about to sort of get going.
Tell me about the Rising High Collective. Who's involved with that?
Me and Plufka and whoever else we choose to work with that week. That's the kind of idea of it.
And where did you find Plufka?
Oh, well, she came into the studio to record them with the Shaman into our old studio. We got on very well. And she decided to leave the Shaman. It wasn't any decision of mine.
So is that a long-term project?
Yeah, that's one of my little pet projects. I'm going to keep that on running.
And will there be an album?
Yeah, we're working on our album right now.
Next track we're going to play Church of Ecstasy, which is actually a GTO, one of their many aliases. Tell me about this track.
Well, it's just one of the most extreme records I've ever heard, I think. It's just, I think the cutting man, when you cut it, there's an inscription on it, and the cutting man wrote on the vinyl sort of running out groove, you wrote, just thank God it's over. And that sort of sums it up, really. It's a painful record, but it's brilliant.
This is Church of Ecstasy in the remix, Rising High 15X.
Ooh, I am ready. I mean, I'm in the mood.
This Friday, for one night only, Spank at Maximus Leicester Square presents from the USA Agent 00 Soul, Mr. Edwin Starr, performing dance floor classics Happy Radio, Eye to Eye Contact, and of course, War. Also witness the London premiere of his spanking new tune, Darling, Darling Baby. This Friday, Edwin Starr at Spank, Leicester Square, admission just £8. Spank me.
Raw Promotions. The Edge, the 16th of October. Get raw.
This week is Al Green Week on KISS. Every time you hear one of his tracks being played, you simply have to call in on 071 700 3100 to win a copy of his new compilation album, Al. And one lucky listener is also going to win the holiday of a lifetime, a luxury 7-day cruise in the Caribbean. Stay tuned to KISS for more chances to win more often.
This is Colin Faver. KISS FM 100. Rising High.
This is Colin Faver on KISS FM. My special guest tonight, Caspar Pound from Rising High Records. Could you give any advice on anybody that's thinking of setting a record label up?
Well, that's everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, more or less. But I mean, is there any mistakes you made that people should watch out for?
Yeah, sign a contract with your partner straight away. Because that's the biggest mistake I made, I think. I tended to for the last year to lock myself in the studio.
Yeah.
Just hand out the music and let other people do all my business, and that's something I've just learned is a very bad mistake.
So get things in writing, basically.
Definitely.
Right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Is there an overall direction for Rising High?
I wish there was. I might lie awake at night. I mean, I read 1 month we'll get like brilliant press saying, oh, Rising High, they're great, they've chosen to veer away from all the breakbeats and they're doing like heavy Euro techno. And I think, oh God, have we got to keep it like this? But then Mark will bring me the new Project One, and I think, oh my God, this is amazing. And then we'll have like a Project One interface and we'll flood the place like London breakbeats. And
right. So Sapho Records, which is the second Rising High label, what was the idea behind that?
That's a very dark label. That's my darkest project. I did that with a man called. That's not entirely all me. I did that with a man called Pipey, who used to be the dancer and the hypnotist, and he spent a lot of time with me in Germany last year, and I think that affected him in quite a big way. he does a lot of looking for that, and we sort of sit down and choose it. But they're dark, they're hard, and they're quite extreme. But they're not limited to Europe. We put out breakbeats and we put out European records, but they tend to be a bit more abstract than the Rising High stuff at the moment.
Do you actually give any of your artists sort of advice, or do you guide their careers? I mean, do you actually sign artists for one-offs, or have you signed people long-term?
They're all different. I've signed Project One, has signed long-term, Irresistible Forces long-term. I've just picked up some new guys called The Moog, who are on a label called Delirious Records, and they've just signed me a one-off contract for a tour. They said they want to see how it goes, and that's fair enough. That's fine. Everyone's very different, but I usually not interested in signing groups for very long term unless the relationship develops. Usually it's one tune I'm interested in and I'll take that, and then if they bring the next one it's no good, I won't automatically put it out as a follow-up, only if it's what I consider to be a killer sort of standout tuner.
Right. Next track we're going to play, Bug. Tell me about this one.
This is a nasty record. This is WESTBAM that is sort of nastiest. This is, I think, the nearest record we've got putting out is like hardcore death metal techno. It's Mixed Mag most hated record of the year, I think.
Okay, let's take a listen. This is Bug. Rising High release number 20. You said the Hypnotist has been the biggest seller.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think your favourite release from the whole lot is so far?
Well, I can't say that.
You can't.
I like them all.
There must be one that really makes you your little heart flutter.
But do you know what, the one that really makes my heart flutter is really, it was Fever Called Love, and that was on R&S.
Right.
That was one of my consistent sort of favourites, and that's one of my biggest regrets, was not putting that on Rising High, but Renard talked me into it. But that's one I play over and over again.
Have you actually been to all the clubs in Europe? I mean, do you go to Germany and Belgium very often?
I've never been to a club in Belgium in my life. I went to stay with Renard a lot, but I never went out.
Renard's always said that they're a load of crap anyway.
Yeah, I think so. That's what he told me, so I didn't go. But Germany, I spent the best clubbing times of my life in Germany, and Germany's really influenced me very, very, very much.
It's very serious there, though, isn't it? Very serious.
Oh, they take the word hardcore to the, like, extreme limit.
Right.
And we went over there, and because we make hardcore music, they expect you to live a hardcore life. And they sort of tried to show us some scary hardcore times, and we weren't quite ready for it.
Hardcore times. How do you promote your tracks? I mean...
We don't. Well...
You stick white labels in the shops?
We don't have to, really, up to the point. I mean, the first 2-3 weeks they'll go out on their own. They just get into the shops, and because they're Rising High, they ultimately get played. And then we, after a point, we don't do a lot. We just get them reviewed.
Obviously, you don't worry about too much radio play.
Not really. I mean, occasionally a track will come up, and people say this could be a hit, and you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and you've got to do the other. But often I find it's people, they expect to get a hit record, and that's what often kills a record label. It's like I don't like to. It's not one of my big priorities, making hit records, really.
Right.
Not really.
Do you actually release 7-inch records?
No. Don't like them.
No, they're almost obsolete these days. Next track we're going to play, Project One, the Roughneck EP. Tell me about Project One.
That's my old mate Mark, the rapper from Homeboy Pin of Funky Dread. We are all made up and good mates again. He A&Rs himself. I can't tell Mark what to do. He just brings me the new tracks, and they're always excellent. He's his own boss, and he's great.
So genius. Is there going to be a Project One album?
Yeah, he's finished it. His next single's called Living in a Concrete Jungle.
Oh, right. Okay, let's take a listen to Project One and Roughneck.
Run them up! Let them go learn, cause them know so they can't sing. If you don't run them up, them not gonna learn. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Children, are you ready?
Yeah! Oh Lord! Run them up! 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 If you don't run them up, then not gonna learn. Let's go.